What's up, everyone? ¿Cómo estás, Alexa?
Todo bien, todo bien. Thank you. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I can't complain today. It's been a beautiful day. I'm actually in Redwood City today.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, Maria, Maria does a lot of things as well. So today she's at the headquarters office. So I get to work from the hotel. So those of you watching on TikTok get to see the hotel background. That's not my art. That's the hotel art.
Okay.
So the beauties of technology, right? You can work from anywhere.
Right.
So Alexa, tell me, what are we talking about today?
Today we are talking about community college
The
starting
deep dive?
a
The
deep
deep dive.
dive.
The deep dive. Okay. All right. I have a love hate relationship with community colleges. I love them because they saved my ass. No joke. They a long time ago, they were the only option for me to even go to school. So through a mentor, she basically broke it down and said, you know, no matter what your background is, a California community college is open access. And what that means is that anyone can go. And I literally mean anyone can go. I was, in high school, I fought a lot in high school, so I got a lot of suspensions under my belt. And I wasn't in college prep classes that got you into the university or anything like that. So, community colleges allowed me to go because they're open access. That's the beauty of it. That's one of the beauties of it. But with anything that's that beautiful, there's also a lot of problems. Technology is kind of terrible at a community college level, so there's going to be a lot of like obstacles that you have to overcome when you decide to go to a community college because it's a massive. There's a lot of options. You can easily get lost, and so long story short, I had a counselor who took care of me when I was at a community college. Her name was Janet. She was pretty badass Chicana, man, and I loved that I ran into her when I got to Cuesta College many years ago because I could connect with her. She knew, kind of some of the things I was going through, like imposter syndrome. Like I felt like I didn't belong. I didn't feel like wow, like my English was good enough. I didn't feel like I was smart enough to sit in the classroom with a bunch of college students who seemed prepared. Like they all seemed prepared, and I knew I was not prepared. But that's all part of the system, the imposter syndrome, and the ed trauma. And we talked about ed trauma here a couple weeks ago, and so a lot of it is getting over that, right? Is not even, well, not necessarily getting over it because it's systemic. It's knowing that it's there, that kind of trauma that makes you feel like you're not good enough. But again, the beauty of it is open access. That in itself allows a 30-year-old to go back to school, right? A
Mhm.
16-year-old that's in high school that wants to take a college level class. It allows you because it's open access. And the California community colleges, there's 115 of the colleges, so there's a
Mhm.
lot of choices. Some of them are big, some of them are small. You can go to any one of them. You can go to two, three, four, five of them if you want. You can go to 10. My brother-in-law, did about 10 community colleges because every few months, he was moving to like a different town or a different city. And,
Mhm.
he quickly moved from one community college to another community college to take advantage of that. And so, again, today is a deep dive in community colleges. And it starts with the number one beautiful thing about it, those of you who just joined us, is open access. Okay. So, I'm sure, Alexa, you have some family members, some older family members, some adults in your family that are over 18 that never went to college.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Some tios, some primos, some cousins, and people like that, right? When they want to go back to college, they would start at a community college because again, it's open access, right?
Right.
So again, beauty of open access. So if your mom wanted to take college classes, where would she start?
Community college, yeah.
That's right. That's right. Okay. Another big thing about community colleges, especially in California, is they're the most affordable system of higher education that you can get. Okay. They're the most legitimate and most affordable, meaning all of 115 colleges, they have to be what's called regionally accredited. Okay. Yeah, all of them are regionally accredited. You have no, and what that means, you don't have to know all the details, but what that means is that they're legit. They're the most legit public school system that you can get. Okay. Those classes can count almost anywhere, depending on your path, depending on your career. But there's this thing about most classes don't count. That's bullshit. Don't believe that. There's a lot of myths out there. There's a lot of haters out there. I would say 95% of the classes that you take are university transferable. Okay.
Okay.
You just have to make sure you take the right classes for them to be university transferable. And so, we want to make sure that you as an audience know that the beauty of California is you have a lot of colleges you can attend. If the college down the street locally isn't, your flavor, there's 115 colleges. You can totally live in LA and be taking classes online through Sacramento City College. You can live in the middle of nowhere, like where I grew up, King City, California, and there's a Hartnell Center in King City, California. And then there's a main campus of Hartnell in Salinas, right? And so you can do online classes with them. You can do in-person classes with colleges. If they are nearby, that's cool too. Take the class in person, meet some people, be more social, get out there. But if you live in a place or your job is too busy or your life is too busy, online. Most classes, I would say, as a counselor, in the system, I've been there for about 22, 23 years now. I would say nowadays a good 70 to 80% of the classes that are offered in the system are online. So you can totally finish your degree, you can totally start a new degree, etc., at a California community college almost anytime you want. So Alexa, tell us a little bit. You were a student up until recently, but you went straight from the high school to the university, right?
Yeah, I did. But I did take, one of the more good things about community college classes is that when you're in high school, you can take them for free. And
Hmm.
sometimes that also applies when you're, just a community college student, depending on what city you're from. But yeah, I took free community college classes in high school.
Okay,
At
okay. Through
enrollment.
it's called dual enrollment, right? What you
Yes.
Nice, nice. My kids also did that as well. So those of you that are listening, if you are a high school student, or if you have kids that are high school students or gonna be high school students, they can take up to 11 units per semester while they're still in high school. Now, 11 units is a lot. Okay, I would not put a high school student in 11 units, right?
Mhm.
Start off with one class. Like right after they graduate 8th grade, if they're mature enough and if they're serious enough, you can have them start dual enrollment, right into their 9th grade, right that summer, right after they graduate 8th grade, start their first class or two, and then every semester take one or two classes. By the time they graduate high school, you'll have a lot of classes done. You'll have a solid year, maybe even the first 2 years of your university level done.
We have a
So,
question, by the
oh,
way.
absolutely,
We have
absolutely.
a
What do
comment
you think?
from M. So they're saying my daughter is an honors student and taking AP courses. What should she
Mhm.
focus on starting her 10th year, so junior year of college, high
What's her
school?
Does she? Well, if she can tell me her major and what university she may want to go to, then I can totally answer that question. But in a nutshell, is if your high school offers a lot of AP, that means that high school's got a little bit more money than everybody else. Because high schools that have a lot of money because they're in better neighborhoods, that's just the way the funding is, right? I didn't set it up this way, but it is. They have a lot of AP classes, so you can finish a lot of college level classes using AP. But dual enrollment is way better. Okay. And AP isn't going to tell you this because AP, the people who run AP, it's a company, right? It's a business, right? And if you don't take AP tests, that business loses money. You
Yes.
have to be in the class of AP. Say you take an AP statistics class, okay, or a
Oh,
government class,
they're
history, whatever.
they're a music or writer doesn't know what college yet.
Okay. I
That's
would totally start if they're music, because music is a super long major. My son is a jazz musician. Music is just as long as engineering. Okay. Don't let the arts fool you. You have to practice like crazy. There's multiple theory classes that you can't take all in one semester. I would if they're even considering music, you want to start them in the music theory classes.
Mhm.
Okay. And what you do is you look through the catalog of the college you want to go to, or you contact a counselor there. But counselors are hard to get a hold of, and you got to make sure you get a good one and you tell them exactly what you want. What I would ask for is the classes needed in the major of music, for transfer. Okay, music for transfer degree. That's what you should focus on. And there's going to be like, two or three or four music theory classes. I would totally start with those because that's what slows students down the most when they're at the university. And every year that you're at the university is costing you and your family $15,000 and up. Okay. So you want to start with those classes that make people take longer in school. That's how you end up saving a lot of money. And for music students, it's music theory classes. Start with those. And if you need some more better advice, etc., make an appointment with us. Shoot us a message. We'll send you our Calendly link, and you can talk to us, and we can get you the exact classes they should start with, based on wherever you live, right? Whether you live in LA, San Diego, Sacramento, whatever, it don't matter. California, it's the whole system that's kind of one big community college family. So
Mm-hmm.
the other, okay, so let's go back to some of these huge ones and keep asking questions. I'll definitely stop and answer them. Cost. The cost of community college for most people is going to be free. Okay, for most people, not everybody, but for most people, yes. And let me tell which types of people. First time freshmen, never been to college, and they enter community college, as long as they enroll full time, meaning 12 units or more, you almost every community college now, and again, there's a couple haters out there, but almost every community college, you will not pay any tuition. And it doesn't matter if you're super rich or super poor, it don't matter. You won't pay tuition as long as you're a full-time student and it's your first time in college, like those students coming out of high school. Or you, what if you're 30 years old, you finished high school 12 years ago, and now you want to say, if it's your first time going to college and you're going to go full-time, it'll be tuition free, meaning they're not going to charge you tuition. Okay. But like anything in life, nothing is completely free, right? There are these other little fees you're going to pay, and they're going to be about 60 to 80 bucks for the whole semester. And it's like a health fee, the student government fee, all these little fees, regional transit pass fee, but it's just like 80 bucks for the whole semester. No more than 80. Different districts, it's even less. Okay. And then, books, right? So books, materials, if you got to drive to school, you got to buy a parking pass, there's fees like that. So factor in another 40, 50 bucks for parking, for the whole semester, with the parking pass if you're driving. And then books, if you register early, you can get free textbooks. Okay. My college, like more than half the classes are free textbooks, but you got to sign up early so that you can get those classes before those classes fill up. Some classes you will need to buy a textbook. It could be anywhere from $20 to $200, right? As I've seen, but professors are trying to keep those costs down, so they're doing more and more free textbooks. So definitely look into those other options to keep the cost down. But I'm going to tell you this right now: that's the best deal in town, even if you got to pay for registration fee. So let's imagine that you didn't qualify for anything, and you're not going to be full time, so they're going to charge you. If you're a California resident, okay, meaning you've been living in California for at least a couple years, etc., it's 46 bucks a unit. Okay, so that's $46 per unit. So a class usually is worth 3 units. Okay,
I
it's
have a
about
question, Professor G.
$150. So it's still pretty darn cheap compared to the university. So yes, next question.
Well, Carol is in the chat. They haven't asked yet, but they do have a question. Just to throw it
All
out
right.
there. And on TikTok, on TikTok.
Okay, when she asks it, let's make sure we see it and we'll answer it. So, prices, right? Prices 46 bucks a unit. You go any other university, I don't care if it's the state university system or the University of California system, you're going to pay probably 500 bucks a unit, okay, per class. And so that's going to be $1,500 for one class when you can take it at a community college for 150 bucks. And that's if you had to pay. Of course, you're going to apply for financial aid, and most of you, like I did, get fee waivers. And I got a fee waiver, and I never had to pay tuition while I was at the community college. So, prices, remember, open, let's recap. Open access, man, that means anyone can go to any college at any time in any semester. You want to start in fall, we can do that. You want to start in spring, we can do that. You want to start in summer, we can do that. So, anytime you want to start and stop, you can start and stop at a community college. If you go to college and you mess it up, you got all F's, we can fix that shit. I've helped students wipe out like 30 units of F's because they might not start off at 18 years old, with the right mentality, but now at 25, they're like, "Oh no, hell no, I got to do shit. I got to get shit done." That happens all the time, y'all. I see it all the time. Is I'll see a 30-year-old come back and say, "Nah, dude, I try to work, and without a degree, you're getting passed up." And so you come back, but now with the new mentality, because now you're not 18, now you're 30, and you're like, "Oh shit, I do need to make some more money, and I need more skills." So the
We have a
beauty of community
question.
college, open access. Dime?
So yeah, so Carol's asking, my son lives in Glendale, so they go to Glendale Community College. What grants are available for a community college student? Been
Okay,
watching
so
you from new, trying to get him into UCLA. Do you have any suggestions?
yeah, first thing is do the FAFSA, right? That one application, your community college should use the information on that one application to see if you qualify for a Promise Grant, a Pell Grant, a Cal Grant, an FESOG grant, right? Those are the need-based grants, right? Meaning the lower income families are the ones who qualify for those. Okay. But even if you're a high income family, so say you're a lower income family, you're going to qualify for a bunch of those. All you got to do now is pass your classes. Okay. Now, passing classes is C's or better, but C's don't get you into UCLA. Okay, because UCLA gets applications of straight A students. They're not going to move to C's if they're getting straight A students. You get what I'm saying? So the magic of UCLA, UC Berkeley, all the top UCs, and maybe a couple of the top CSUs like Cal Poly, San Luis Obispo, those kinds of schools that have just an enormous amount of students trying to get in at the freshman at the transfer level that are the highest caliber, meaning the highest GPAs. The best way to ensure admission into a top school like that is you need to have straight A's. Now, can you get in with a couple lower grades? Absolutely, because it all depends on your story, your major. You know what I mean? You still got to compete at the highest levels because guess what? They're going to get everyone that's competing at the highest levels at UCLA in almost every major. Okay. Now, GPA matters for UCLA. Also, honors classes matter. So at the community college, some of the classes, like regular English, you can take an English composition class, like an English C1000 is what they call it. But you can also opt to take the honors level English C1000. Is it more work? Yes. But the universities recognize that, right? That you actually chose to take on more rigor, and that matters to them, and you need to tell them about that when you talk in your essays, that look, I didn't just take the regular classes. I took honors music, I took honors art history, I took honors English, I took honors political science. Those kinds of things at the local community college scale your GPA and the rigor of the classes for the big universities to really take a look at. At the end of the day, that isn't what you can't just get in with that. They do a comprehensive review. What other personal obstacles have you gone to? What is your major? Why you're choosing your? I mean, there's all this other stuff, but it starts seriously with GPA and honors level classes. So make sure he maximizes all of those at Glendale Community College for him to get the best chance of getting in. The last thing is apply to 5, 6, 7 different universities. Once you get admitted to 3 or 4 of them, that's where you decide to go.
Yeah. They said that they're watching. 6 of them are watching from Harlem, New York. They might speak a little
Harlem.
Spanish, I believe. Hola.
Yes. Hola, hola, hola. ¿Qué onda? ¿Qué onda? ¿Cómo
Bienvenidos a Nueva
están?
York.
Bienvenidos. Harlem, New York has community college system too. It's the same thing. They
Another
might charge a
question.
little more than us, than California, but it's the same thing I tell you
Yeah.
here. It's the same system over there. Is open access, lower in cost, and then you can, transfer from a community college to university for the bachelor's degree, or you can finish certificates and associate's degrees at the community college and move on with your life there. It's totally up to you. And you can go, and here's the remember it's open access. So you can go and come back when you want. So what if you went first to get a certificate?
Carol is
And it
saying
worked.
we're black. Does that change anything? No.
Well, I'm brown.
I'm like, it's the same struggle.
It's the same. Well, here's the thing. And what I can say is school systems, right, are designed to not be equitable, unfortunately, in this country, right? And it goes way beyond that. But school systems often struggle to keep black and brown students in school. Okay, it doesn't matter where you go, what state. It's systemic, right? I see it as systemic racism, systemic discrimination. It was not one individual discriminating; it's the whole system that discriminates. And so, do black and brown students have a lot more obstacles to go through? Yes, absolutely. Right. Did I feel that had to work 3 times, 4 times harder than a wealthier or more white counterpart? Absolutely. Right. Welcome to America. Right. It is that's the way it is here. Um, Acknowledging that, now okay, this system isn't built really to make me successful, but it's still there. I can still use it to try and raise my skills in certain things so that I can be a little more successful in my job and my income, right? Because as you raise your work and you raise your income level, you might not have to now work 3 or 4 jobs to keep the roof over your head. You can now work one job to keep the roof over your head. Right? And when that changes the amount of time you get to spend with your family, right? Because coming from a family that grew up low income, right? Farm working family. I rarely saw my dad because he had to be working all the time, right? So even though he was supporting the family, it's as if he wasn't there. And so there
Yeah.
was some consequences in the family because of that, right? And so you do we have more obstacles? Yes. Um, will it try to keep you out? Potentially. Should you let it? Hell no.
Mhm.
Right? Keep fighting, whatever I can do to help you. Keep
Yeah.
struggling, keep completing. There's certain way you got to look at the system in order to survive it. And so we're here to help you with that. So please make an appointment with me. We can chat about that kind of thing to survive whatever school you're trying to get to.
We had two comments. We said M is saying, "Thank you so much for doing what you do. So appreciated." And Carol the
You're
Great said,
welcome.
I'm from New York, and this Jewish man saw my son playing basketball in the park." That was all they said. He asked if my son would move to Santa Barbara, California to go to a boarding school.
If you can afford a boarding school, right, that already means you are of higher income. Okay. Higher income people have way more success in higher education than lower income people, right? Because you don't worry about the same things. So if yeah, they could afford boarding school, sure, why not? That means, again, I'm making some assumptions here, but that the income is higher than say families who can't afford it. um but you get what you pay for, right? So if you're able to send your kids to boarding school, then you expect the boarding school to totally take care of your student, make sure that they're eating, being fed, caretaking, academic, everything, right? But that's what you're paying for. It's like a private school. You have to pay, so you expect the level of service to be way up here to make
Mhm.
sure your kids make it through the system. When you're a public school educated, I love public school. I was raised in public schools, and I insisted that my kids go to low income public schools. So all 3 of my kids went to the barrio. Even though we can afford private school, no, we want them to have the experience to see that there's a lot of poverty in the world, and
Yeah.
that you got to have compassion for people struggling and trying to make it through. So we purposely put them in schools where they would see poverty, and that they needed to be bilingual just to survive, and those kinds of things. And people call us crazy.
Yeah,
All
I
my
mean,
friends call us
no,
crazy. They're
no,
like,
that's
you
for
drive your
real
kid
though.
20 miles to go to the barrio? And I go, it's the only school that teaches dual enrollment Spanish and English, man. Yeah, I want them to have the language, right? And so
Yeah. Carol
each
is
parent.
saying, let me, he said,
Yeah,
she said, we sent him to a Kate boarding school. I don't know what that is, but
K-8,
see, and
kindergarten through 8th grade, maybe.
okay. And then it said now he got to Glendale Community College. He said,
Got
"We
it.
are
So,
poor. LOL. My son was on a scholarship." So it's a
got
very
it.
unique journey.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Scholarships are critically important to give access to certain families. Yeah, I know a couple buddies who, and some of my mentors who were able to go to top private schools through scholarship. Yeah, if there's one available, definitely, because again, those schools take care of your student at a different level, because of the money, right? Public schools usually can't do that, and that's why a lot of the services drop off when you're in the public school system, unfortunately, right? And so, but at the end of the day, my goal here is to get you to wherever public school you went to, or private, doesn't matter. There's obstacles in life, there's obstacles in you getting your degrees, there's obstacles in paying for it for everybody. So whatever we can do to lower the cost and lower the time for you to get your degree, we're here to help you with our app, with our content, and our newest AI features that we keep putting out every month. We're updating our AI algorithms to really be able to provide you not only college information but other career non-college tracks as well, because some of you are interested in the non-college tracks, and those are just as important as the college tracks. So download our app and follow us.
Yeah. And then they're up saying, Carol is saying, my son graduated a year now ago and he is at Glendale Community College. Yes.
Yeah, if he ever wants a second opinion, please, make sure he schedules an appointment with us, and I can double check that he's getting the right advice for whatever goal he has, whether it's transferring to the university, some kind of certification or associate's degree. Be happy to help.
I'll send a follow up. I'll send a message to you later.
Yeah, and remember, everything we do is completely free of charge because this is for the people. We need to teach all of our people how to survive colleges, that these options do exist. And at the end of the day, I'm going to be honest with you. If you're first in your family to go to college, it doesn't matter where you go. It really does not matter where you go.
Hmm.
As long as you go and eventually you get done. The important thing is finishing. That's what allows you to then use that piece of paper. And it is a piece of paper, but that piece of paper proves to the world that you were able to do something as the first in your family than everybody else. You know what I mean? And that doesn't mean you're smarter. It just means you had a different opportunity. You had an opportunity to go to school and to finish school. So that's why,
Right.
again, the deep dive in community colleges, we love them and we hate them at the same time because they're dysfunctional. Are they going to feel like they're difficult to get through? Yes, yes, unfortunately. But you can't quit. You
Hmm.
can't, especially if you're the first in your family. If you're the first in your family, this is the ticket out. This is the ticket out of poverty. And I know that for a fact because my wife and I were first in our families, and our family will no longer be in poverty again. It takes a generation to pull the family out of poverty, and education level matters to get that family out of poverty. And then guess what? Once you have that first generation have degrees, it's expected that the second generation gets degrees, and you make it easier for them to get degrees, and then it's expected that the third generation get degrees, and all of a sudden in two generations you have, like, masters, like five master's degrees, three bachelor's degrees, and all of a sudden your family just took it to the next level. It's not just one professional, it's now two, three, four, five professionals, and then one more generation you're at like 20 professionals. A quick little story. I stopped by on the way back this weekend from King City just to reassure that my niece knows that our home is open to you when you turn 18 and your time to go to college. You come out here, you move out here, you leave the barrio, and you come out here to get your school done, right? And so it's one of those things that in our family, we still have lots of people that are struggling through poverty, right? That didn't go on to higher ed at all. And so, it's our obligation as the ones who did finish school to extend that invitation to the next generation that's out there. So, my nieces, my nephews, et cetera, et cetera. And so, that's kind of the responsibility. A lot of you that are first gen in your family, you have that responsibility. You made it through. You need to tell others in your family how to make it through and connect them with other people like me who can help make them through if you're not able to assist them that way. So let's work on your entire family together.
Yes, and we have a follow up from Carol. She said, got it. What high school do you recommend for a ninth grader moving to LA in 2 weeks?
Ooh, you're putting me on the spot there. I gotta meet I gotta meet him. I gotta know who he is, what he is, what his goals are. I gotta do a little bit of research of what areas you would be living in, etc. Because location matters, right? And not only matters for the school site, but it matters for your sanity. Meaning, I don't want to send you all the way across town, right? Which is now a 2.5 hour commute one way, right? Something like that could drive you crazy, right? The scheduling, the organization of it. And then you also have to know about what area to live in, right? Because schools are still funded under like Prop 98, which kind of basically says you can only go to the schools. If you're going to public school, you can only go to the schools that in the neighborhood where you reside. Um, Unless they're choosing private schools. But a lot to think about. I can't answer it here without knowing your son a little bit more. So I think make an appointment. We can have a conversation and give you some options. All right. Now, here's the thing. Remember, I said love and hate. So now let's talk about the hate. The technology in higher education sucks. It sucks. Okay, I had to say it. It's terrible, especially public higher education. It's not your fault. It's not your fault as a student. It's the system. It's massive. They don't spend a whole lot of money in like updating systems, higher education student information systems. Every school thinks they're perfect. Every school thinks they know everything, but it's dysfunctional. It really is. It's very the communication systems are terrible. If you're not, knocking on someone's door, if you're not picking up the phone, if you're not emailing, you're in trouble. You need to be the one as a student. You need to be the one that's on it. You need to be the one that says you're hitting people up. When do I sign up for classes? When do I pay for classes? When can I drop classes? When can I add classes? You're the one that needs to be bugging the system. If you don't bug the system, it's going to ignore you and you will eventually leave. Okay. I see it happen every day. Unfortunately, some of the data, okay, let me give you an example. Most people say, I'm going to go to community college for 2 years. That's bullshit. You're going to be here longer. Okay. I hate to be the one to tell you, but I'm going to be honest with you. There was a report that came out a couple years ago, okay, through the California Auditor Office of California. So it's legit. Most students who said they want to transfer to a university and thought they were going to do it in 2 years, most of them had to do it in 4 years. Okay, twice as long. Okay, that's reality. And when I say most, I mean like, and it took it. So let's just say we have 100 students, and of those 100 students going to California community colleges, how many of them were able to transfer to a university after going to college, community college for 4 years? Only 20% of them were able to move on. Okay, that means 80% of them were not able to finish a community college in 4 years. Okay, that's the reality. That's what you're up against, right? And again, remember love hate relationship. Yeah, I love them because the opportunity is there and they're low cost. But the obstacles are they're dysfunctional. No one gives you the real clear advice, on what to do, how to do it, to keep the cost down. No one talks to you. No one calls you. Like no one's gonna call you. No one's gonna email you. If you're not calling an email and you're waiting for someone to call and email you, they ain't gonna do it. So just make sure that you know that. Now that you know that, now that we told you that, now you know I got to be on it. Yes, you do. And if you're helping your students, so say you're a parent helping your student, you need to help them be on it because this is a public system. It's kind of like the DMV, right? We all have to go through it. It's not the greatest system in the world, and we kind of sucks when we have to be there, but it's the only thing we got. And so that again is the love and the hate for the community college. But again, it's the only thing we got. It's the most affordable. It's open access. So I want you to fully take advantage of it and get as many degrees and certificates as possible. All right. I do want to mention a couple things for all the lowriders out there, right? My son's now a lowrider. He's been, trying to lowride and slam his truck, and I make him get a job. And you want to lowride that truck, you got to put some nice wheels on it, maybe some bags or some hydraulics, something. Um, and those of you that are lowriders out there, and community colleges, man, you can become a welder, a full blown certified welder. Okay, tell me what lowrider doesn't need a welder? Every lowrider needs a welder. Okay, welding is also one of the top professions right now. Right now, it's the hottest, right? For data center buildings, for construction management, for all of that. It's all like welding right now. We have so few welders, we cannot sustain all the ships that are being built in the military, all the drones, all of that, including data center for AI, right? From all the companies pushing data centers, we don't have enough. And you can weld as many frames as you want and have the baddest ass hoppers that you want in terms of the low riding world if you wish. In addition to that, electricians. Okay, electricians, same thing. With all the technology boom, we don't have enough, man. We need so many people moving into either electrician apprenticeship programs, or if you're not into electrician apprenticeship programs, then I need you to at least start taking electrician trainee classes at some of those community colleges, so that you will understand electricity and can find opportunities in the electrical industry, or for yourself, like like me. If I have a couple rental houses, right? I need to know a little bit about electricity, because sometimes something breaks and I don't need to call an electrician for the simple stuff, right? So I would potentially take those classes myself, even though I'm a totally different major, just so that I have that knowledge here for some of my personal things. And so all of these programs are available at community colleges, because community colleges are also trade schools. Okay. Trade schools are not different. They are also community colleges. So what I tell students is, before you make a choice on any school, check out the two or three or four community colleges first. If they have your program, I would totally do it there first, just to save thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. I mean, I'm serious. My daughter did community college, my son did community college, my other son's in high school doing dual enrollment community college right now. We're saving probably anywhere from 60 to 80 to $90,000 in university fees, because they're all doing that stuff for free through dual enrollment and the community college system. So more to come on that. You could also download our Techo Guide app and ask Techo AI. Ask them about dual enrollment. Ask them where you can start it, with what local community college. Put in your zip code, and it'll tell you where you can start it and how to start it. Now, the only thing that may stop you is, like, say I signed up too late. If the classes fill up, okay, they signed up too late for this semester, but then the following semester, as long as you're on it, you'll get the classes. So you won't be left out more than one semester, just in case, you're trying to sign up and it's a little late because of the timing of signing up. That's totally okay. Right now, we're in the middle of, actually, we're beyond the middle. We're about 70% full at most community colleges, and there's about another 4 weeks before school starts in the fall semester. And so, these next 4 weeks, people are just signing up, for a bunch of different classes, whether they're going to the university, whether they're going to like a welding or cybersecurity, type of certification or associate's degree. You should jump on it as quickly as possible. Use our app, and then also connect with the local community college that you choose to attend. Whew, a lot of talking.
Yes, it is. I'm like, you need a break. Oh, we have some replies. Oh, we actually do have an area in LA, Park La Brea area, for for the son that's moving to LA.
Well, congratulations on him moving out there. But like I said, let's connect offline and we can chat. Now, the last thing I wanted to cover about community colleges is support services. Okay, so going and being a student is one thing, but there's a bunch of programs that are available. You won't get into every program, but if you apply to support services, you'll get into some. First things first, if you have any form of disability, or think you have a form of disability, or have an IEP from high school or anything like that, you automatically qualify for the disabled student programs and services at every single California community college. Okay. There's some huge benefits for that, because they have adaptive software, they have counselors, they have all kinds of opportunity of just services for you as part of this disability program, student programs and services student, to be able to be successful in classes. That includes extended test taking time. It includes vision impairment software. It includes, counseling. It includes testing. It includes all kinds of other ways that they can help you in finishing college through the community college system. In addition to that, they give you priority zero registration. Now that's huge. Why? That means you sign up for classes 1 week before everybody else. So if you're trying to do a major that all the classes are like full like crazy because the interest is so high, being part of the DSPS program gets you priority zero registration as well. So totally, if you have an IEP, if you ever thought you may have some kind of learning or physical disability, etc., you need to make sure that you apply to the disabled student programs and services. Then at least get a free assessment to see whether you have some kind of disability or not, right? And if you do, join the program, and it's completely free, and you benefit from a bunch of little other things as well. Go ahead.
We have a question from, I believe, Cindy. Do you need the counselor's approval from high school in order to enroll in classes? Also, we we have another Nathaniel. Mauricio is the man. He's helped to this, and I got my master's degree thanks to his guidance.
I know, Nathaniel. Yes. ¿Cómo estás? Good to hear from you. Um, I'm sorry. That first question was: do you need permission from a counselor or a school representative to? I'm assuming it's in terms of dual enrollment. If the student is in high school and going to be taking college level classes while in high school, then yes, part of the process is a permission from either the school counselor, vice principal, principal, some representative. Doesn't have to just be the counselor, some rep at the high school, because some high schools don't have counselors, right? That says, yeah, we're cool with it. um if one person says no, go ask somebody else. You'd be surprised. Someone will say yes and give you a shot, whether it be a teacher or we just need an email. And yeah, the college I work with in our system, we just need like a name and email of someone at the school, right, that has that email address, that they will then, like, say yes on a click, and boom, that's it. Parents also have to get permission, right? Same thing. We get their email address, we send them an email, they say yes, and then approves, and you're good. Right after that, the student gets to sign up for classes. So they need to do that as soon as possible in order to maximize getting some classes in the fall semester. Now, if it's for dual enrollment, yes, that process is true. If the student is an adult, so say they're already graduating high school and now entering the college after high school, they're going to join the college after high school, whether they're an adult, 30, 40, 50 years old, whatever, or freshly it's senior year, they're going to be graduating and entering, they don't need permission from anyone anymore. Okay. They only need the permission if they're a minor, and they're going to take classes while they're still in high school. I hope that answers that. Other support services. There's a program at every community college called the EOPS, Extended Opportunity Programs and Services. I was a student of EOPS. Those are you have to apply to them. So you got to look on your colleges after you start college, after you sign up for classes, you need to apply to EOPS on their website at the college, and you need to do the research. The college isn't automatically going to tell you, because EOPS doesn't take everybody. They only have money for like, for a small number of students. It's for first generation students who are eligible for the promise grants. Okay. And most students are eligible. They're first generation, they're eligible for promise grant, and they are going to be enrolling full time as a student, meaning 12 units or more, or they have permission from disability student programs and services to take less units. So it could be anyone, right? Any student that's full time first generation and meets the promise grant kind of financial criteria. I was one of those students who met all those requirements. I was EOPS. We get way more counseling, because counseling is critical. Advising is critical to make sure you're making the right decisions on your major, career, classes, all that stuff. So in EOPS, you get additional counselors that are only for you. You know what I mean? They're not trying to see 10,000 students. They see a couple hundred, right? So they have a lot more time with you. They plan out your education with a lot more patience, instead of getting rushed out of there like in general counseling. EOPS takes its time, right? 1 hour appointments, that kind of stuff. So great program. I would totally apply for it if I were you. If you can get in, do everything they say. Okay, because they give you sometimes cash, not cash, but like a check or an ATM card. Sometimes their budgets are very like above what they expected, and they dish that out to students. They also get priority zero registration, so they register first, before a week before everybody else. So those hard to get classes, EOPS students usually get them. And in some schools, they also have textbook assistance, so they'll pay for your textbooks, etc. So there's a lot of good programs out there, support programs. Make sure you check out EOPS and apply and see if you can get in. If you can get in, great. If you don't get in, that's cool. Apply next time, and just keep applying. That's kind of the rule. Don't get discouraged. We're adults here. We're going to get some no's. Okay. But you're also learning how to survive college. So you got to ask more than one person. Okay. If you take no for an answer once, that's not good. You need to get no's like 3 or 4 times before you're like, okay, there's no way around this issue. let me go figure out, what the next steps are going to be. And that's with anything in college, because remember, the answers do change, and there's a lot of dysfunction in the system. So just because one thing says one thing doesn't mean the next thing is the same. So you got to always know that and kind of ask a ton of questions around whatever situation you're in. Okay, other support programs, food pantries. That's big. Most schools, okay, most community colleges right now, they have agreements with food pantries to bring in food to give it away free to students, staff, anyone that walks in the door. Okay, so definitely check out your local community college, see if they have some kind of food distribution system for food insecurity programs, those kinds of things. Almost all of them do. At my school, where do most of my time, once a week, you can walk in there, grab a couple bags full of groceries, and no charge. It's free. Take it. It'll include different things from box goods to fresh fruit and vegetables, those kinds of things. So definitely check out the food pantries, the food distribution systems over at your local community college. That also, some community colleges also do like clothing and professional clothing resources as well, where they'll provide you, like a clean, outfit for interviews, right? Because when you're first starting out, your first gen, I didn't know I had to wear a suit, to certain interviews. I didn't have a suit, and suits are expensive, and so through these kinds of programs, you're able to pick up clothing pretty free. You know what I mean? And so keep those in mind when you're looking at community colleges.
Yeah, at San Jose State, they had a career closet that
Mm,
yeah, students can go to, I believe once a month or once a semester, if to pick up or for free professional
yeah,
clothing, which was
yeah.
nice.
We have the college I work with, laptop lending and calculator lending programs. And those are critical because calculators for like statistics and calculus classes, some of you are going to have to take big math classes. They're pricey. They're 100, $200, for a calculator. And so we have lending programs for that, to lend them to you for free. We also have technology agreements where you can get a discount, if you're going to buy it new, etc. So definitely look at your campus website. And here's the other thing: always search the shit out of your campus website. And I'm talking about searching it. I'm talking about clicking on shit you don't know what it is. Fuck it. Just click on it and see where it takes you. The more you know, everything gets posted on your campus website. Everything. Okay. Old colleges are old school. They don't do social media well. They don't even do email well. It's your responsibility. Remember, they put the burden of proof on you. You're the one who has to be like on fire, checking in and making sure that you're getting the right advice. In the beginning of your career at a community college, you need to be making counseling appointments as often as possible. And it's going to be hard getting counseling appointments. You can't chicken out. Sometimes their counseling appointment systems suck. And I'm talking about ours at my college. And if you're at my college, it sucks. I have students waiting till midnight every night. And at 12:01, the system resets, and it's time to make appointments. It's crazy. There's stuff like that that's happened that you don't understand why. But again, remember, they don't make a whole lot of investment in technology, which causes a lot of problems at every college. And so I'm telling you this is you got to kind of have to figure out how the appointment systems work at the college that you're at. If you don't know, I tell students, make friends with the administrative assistants. Those administrative assistants, they can get you an appointment when you need it. You know what I mean? When you look desperate and you beg a little, they will get you an appointment with good advisors. Okay, so every college has good advisors and bad advisors, old school advisors and rookie advisors. And so you never know what you're going to get at most schools. So you want to make sure you're making those appointments often, right? And you're making them with the different people that will support and listen to what you want and get you where you need to be soon.
We have a parent question.
Sure.
Um, as a parent whose student is starting college, how do I support her?
Don't tell her what to do. Okay. I made that mistake often with my three kids. Um, I think it's more of show interest. Show interest. Ask them questions that you hear on our content. Hey, did you what's the FAFSA? Like, did you submit that thing? What is that? Those kinds of questions, right? Curiosity questions. Hey, remember you had an IEP in high school? I heard that there's the disabled student program services that gives you some serious benefits, right? Or hey, did you check out to see if they're giving free food away? Again, it doesn't matter how much income you have. We all need to save our income. And the way to do that is to take advantage of these programs that are out there. Ask them questions like that, curiosity questions. They're going to be wondering, like, how do you know? Ask them to follow us, and then they'll know too. Because here's the thing, you cannot assume that they know. Don't ever assume your kid knows. I assume my kids know nothing about college, and I've been teaching them about college since they were born. Okay. And I often have to be like, hey, Wichi, did you do this? Did you do that? Oh, no, Dad, I forgot. Thanks for the reminder. Right. He grew up with the counselor, you know what I mean, in the house. I expected him to have all that shit memorized by now, and they don't because they're living their life. They're young, they're having a good time. They miss deadlines. Be supportive that way. Ask them about one of the first things I would ask them is, or you can do this, is go to the college website and pull up the academic calendar. Okay, know that there's like 5 or 6 super important dates for that upcoming semester, and just know that they're there. And then ask your son about, hey, when's the drop deadline? And you're gonna realize, wow, they don't know. You're going to have to guide them that way. And when you do it that way, it doesn't come off as, you're butting in. It doesn't come off as, again, you're telling me what to do, parent. It's more like, hey, there's this process that you got to follow. There's this kind of lifestyle or rules that you got to follow, and you're learning those rules with us. Make sure you use those to communicate with them. Hope that helps a bit. I'd be interested in hearing how those types of questions go with them. Please, you can ask any questions. It doesn't matter to me. I don't judge. It's like, hey, if you messed up, that's cool. Those are my favorite ones because I'm going to show you how to totally clean up whatever mess ups you made. And let me just do it now. Okay. So at every college, there's this thing called academic renewal. Okay. Most people don't know about this. Okay. But I'm a counselor, so I know. So I'm going to tell you. Academic renewal is a way to wipe out up to 30 units in D's and F grades without repeating the classes. Okay. There's certain rules you got to do. Like you got to be out of school for at least a year, or a year has to have passed since the mess ups. And then you got to see a counselor, do a petition. And then you got to finish 12 units with C's or better. Okay. And as long as you finish 12 units with C's or better, we wipe everything out that's D or F in your past. It's the quickest and fastest way to totally clean up a transcript. I mean, I'm doing it at least 2, 3 times a week with students in the system right now because, they'll be like, oh my God, I dropped out because I went so bad when I was 18, 19 years old. And that was 10 years ago. And now they're back, but those F's are still on there. Right. So we do an academic renewal petition and they meet with someone like me and we talk about the rules and what they need to do. And once they complete that, we wipe out, up to those up to 10 classes of D's and F's from our system. And now, you know, no university can use those against them. It's like starting over a little, but it's still on record, but it's been cleaned. Your record has been cleaned. We can still see the grades. It doesn't completely disappear, but they are discounted, which means they don't affect your GPA anymore. They're not counted in terms of admissions to a university or to graduation from a college or anything like that. So, there's an option there that a lot of you that want to come back will need to, where I'm hoping actually do the petition with us so that we can clean up your past.
Oh, it says the live stopped on TikTok. I'm not sure what happened.
Mm. How about now? Did it come back?
Yes, you're back.
Okay, yeah, that's weird. Well, actually, because I went off screen. That's probably why.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. But yes, and I'll be reaching out to Carol after the live.
And any of you needing an appointment link, my staff now has it. So go ahead and let us know via the chats on the different platforms, and we'll send you that link over so you can make a free consultation appointment with us to get you on the right track, or whatever school you're looking at. And we mostly talk about California because that's where we're at, but it's pretty much the same at every state. It doesn't matter where you go. We'll figure out which the most affordable way to get to where you want to get to. And that's the other thing. I don't advise on expensive bullshit degrees. No, I'm going to show you how to get it the quickest, most affordable way. That's it, because I need you not to owe the government debt. No one wants to owe federal student loans, right? I finished paying mine, and it was a nightmare paying that. You don't want to. None of my kids have loans because I went through that shit. I'm not letting them go through that, and so I don't want you or your kids going through that ever. So I'm only going to advise you on this is how you do it, and this is how you keep the price as low as possible. So I'm hoping that helps you all understand that we're here to make sure that the best for you and your family based on finance. And it doesn't have to be college. I mean, we know a lot of stuff about the non-college pathways. That's the other thing. If you ever want a quick IT certification without having to go through college, there's the Cisco Systems CCNA certificate that you can study for on your own and then take a test in a few months. And if you pass the test, that's CCNA, Cisco Certified Network Associate Certificate. And those certificates, that means you're an IT person now, entry level IT, and entry level IT pays anywhere from $60,000 to $80,000 a year for a certificate you can earn in just a couple months. And those certificates also exist, and we know about those as well that we can also teach you about that. Some of you might want to get. Check out our other content. Check out our Techo Guide content library as well. We do have some content already created on the non college pathways for IT certificates. Those are critically important nowadays, and can really really help you land a higher paying job right away as well. Orale, we're almost at time here, so any last minute questions or information you want to provide us, please, feel free to use the chats to let us know.
I just sent the link, so hopefully Carol will schedule that appointment. Yay, in the
Perfect,
chat. Yeah.
perfect, perfect. So to recap, right? Today we did a deep dive on community colleges, especially in California community colleges. Think of them as one school with a bunch of cousins. Okay, 115. They are the same. Wherever you go, they're the same. Okay. The difference is that they are broken up into districts. Okay, so there's 72 districts that encompass the 115 community colleges. The price is the same for California residents. It's $46 per unit, no matter which community college you go. The promise grants are the same no matter where you go. The promise grants are your fee waivers. So you want to apply for the FAFSA, or the California Dream Act, to make sure that you can try and qualify for any of these grants that will help you pay for the school. Most of you will get some form of promise grant. Most of you, and I'm saying like good 70-80% of you are going to get a promise grant, whether you believe it or not, right? You're going to get one, which means you're not going to have to pay for your tuition. All you now have to worry about is putting in enough time to get C's or better in the classes. Okay. It is critically important that whatever classes you decide to start, that you finish with C's or better. Because if you don't, then there's consequences, right? Then you start losing financial aid. You start lowering priority registration because you're not doing well. Make sure, okay, that you are mentally ready, and your life is ready for you to begin taking classes out of college. You don't have to go full time, okay? You can go part time, but again, if you're going part time, it just takes a little bit longer to finish. And like I said earlier today, I wouldn't go in there thinking you're just going to get out like right away. I go in there thinking, I'm here to learn. I'm here to learn a new skill. As long as it takes me, that's as long as it's going to take me, whether it takes you a year, whether it takes you 2 years, or whether it takes you 10 years. The purpose of this is that you finish, because once you finish, you can then declare to the world that your skill set is much higher than it was with just a high school diploma, right? Or you went back to community college to redo a different career. Maybe your first attempt at a career you're wanting to change now, right? I have plenty of people who have bachelor's degrees, who have master's degrees that come back to a community college because now they want to study something else, right? I had that happen the other day with a student who had a bachelor's degree in English, right? And he thought he wanted to be an English teacher all of his life, right? But when he finished it, by then he was so in love with technology that he actually came back to school after his bachelor's degree in English to do an associate's degree in cybersecurity. And so now he's a cybersecurity expert with a bachelor's degree in English, which it still helps him, right? It helped him learn, it helped him understand everything the way to be successful. But you can do that kind of stuff with the community colleges. So back to that, we love community colleges, but also we hate community colleges at the same time because of a little bit dysfunction. But hopefully, with our help and with the Techo Guide app and every piece of content we create, you'll be one of those graduates, right? That's able to make it through. So it is our wish for that for you and your family, and whatever we can do to help, we're here for you. All right, Alexa. I think with that being said, thank you very much for everyone for joining. See us here next Wednesday, same time, same platforms. All
Thank
right,
you,
everyone. Yeah,
everybody.
have a good night. Bye
Night.
bye.